Jesus Christ, radical preacher and Prince of Peace, crucified by the Romans for upstaging the Jewish high priests and moneylenders. Queen Boadicea died 61 years after Jesus when she rebelled against Roman rule in Britain, did this poster for a soccer arts show. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, lived round this area in the 11th century, put this poster up in a Nottingham pub during the World Cup 2012, nicked the same night by one of his descendants. Guy Fawkes tried to blow up Parliament in the 16th century, executed by James I, which is remembered every year on November the 5th. Rob Roy, Scottish equivalent of Robin Hood, fought against English tyranny in the Highlands, died in his bed 1734. Lord Byron, famous Nottinghamshire poet, nearly as good as me, died of fever fighting in the Greek War of Independence 1824, buried in Hucknall. Crazy Horse, war chief of the Sioux Indians, wiped out General Custer's 7th Cavalry at the Battle of the Little Bighorn 1876, arrested in 1877 and murdered in US Army custody. Karl Marx did this cartoon how he might look now with an updated name, TK Marx, to match communism's fusion with capitalism into diametrical materialism, much favoured in modern day China. Trotsky, Marxist revolutionary, fell out with Stalin and murdered on his orders in Mexico City in 1940. Mao Zedong led the Chinese communists against the Japanese invaders in the 1930s and 40s, took over China in 1948, annexed Tibet in 1950, died in 1976. James Dean, first teenage icon and movie star of Rebel Without a Cause, died in a car crash in 1955. Jerry Lee Lewis, fiery rock and roll singer, who got deported from the UK in 1958 after news broke that he'd married his 14-year-old cousin. I bought a ticket for his Nottingham concert that was cancelled. He owes me £6 bob. Malcolm X, radical spokesman for the black Muslims, hated by the US government, murdered in 1969. The Rolling Stones, they used to be rebels, but Keith Richards is probably now the only one. Did this post to the Bowling Stones the other year. Their next record coming out this Christmas is believed to be Here Comes Our 19th Winter Fuel Allowance. Bob Dylan, radical songwriter of the 1960s, inspired a generation of hippies, still going strong. John Lennon, ex-Beatle, who became more radical after he met artist Yoko Ono, murdered in 1980. Yoko still carries the torch for world peace and campaigns against fracking in the US. John Lydon, formerly Johnny Rotten, lead singer for the punk band Sex Pistols, has now become a national treasure which he probably doesn't like. Brian Clough, outspoken manager of Nottingham Forest in the late 1970s and 80s. His caustic tongue was probably the main reason he never became manager of England, died 2004. Arthur Scargill led the miners' strike in 1984, where he was defeated by Margaret Thatcher. The working class became demoralised after this and have never recovered, although Jeremy Corbyn's recent election might cheer them up. John Cooper Clarke, punk poet whose high-speed poetry never romanticised the working class either. Ray Gosling, maverick broadcaster who made some great TV and radio documentaries about a Britain which really ever gets mentioned in the media. He never romanticised the working class, which a lot of middle-class left-wing liberals tend to do. Robert Mugabe, Marxist leader of ZANU-PF, which overthrew Ian Smith's white rule in southern Rhodesia, now called Zimbabwe. Mugabe now president for life, and not democracy's greatest fan. Abu Hamza, radical Muslim preacher, did this cartoon of him during the Olympics 2012, when East London was turned into a semi-police state by McDonald's, Coca-Cola and David Cameron. Ai Weiwei, dissident Chinese artist who regularly clashes with the Chinese government. If Ma was still alive, he'd probably be in a Labour camp or stuck against a wall and shot. Banksy. Is Banksy a collection of street artists or just one person? Either way, Banksy has turned into an international treasure of the corporate art world. I wonder what he or they think to that. Answers on a wall at the end of my street. Russell Brand. I called his portrait Brand Russell because I wasn't sure if he was a rebel against the state or just trying to be cool. Possibly both is the right answer. Liz Kendall. When I started doing this art show, Liz Kendall wasn't a rebel, but she is now, and will probably be a rebel as long as Jeremy Corbyn is her new leader. The only painting in the art show, Red Jerry Rules OK. If Mr Corbyn ever becomes Prime Minister and wants to hang this picture on the staircase of number 10, just get in touch with me and he can have a framed copy free. That's it folks, thank you very much.